December 20th, 1943. 27,000 feet above Nazi Germany. Second Lieutenant Charlie Brown grips the control yoke of his B-17F Flying Fortress with hands that will not stop shaking. Blood is everywhere. On the instrument panel, on his flight suit, splattered across the windscreen in patterns he will see every night for the rest of his life. The blood is not his. The bomber is called Ya Olde Pub. Right now, it is not flying. It is falling with style. Brown's co-pilot, Second Lieutenant Spencer Luke, is unconscious in his seat. A piece of German flak the size of a dinner plate punched through the cockpit 6 minutes ago. It missed Brown by 8 inches. It did not miss Luke. The right side of Luke's face is gone, not damaged, gone. Brown can see bone. He can see teeth that should not be visible from the outside. Luke is still breathing somehow, but every breath produces a wet, gurgling sound that means destroyed lung tissue and blood filling the throat. The smell is what Brown cannot escape. Blood, aviation fuel, cordite, and underneath it all, the smell of meat, human meat. That is what the inside of his bomber smells like now. A butcher shop at 40 below zero. Behind Brown, Staff Sergeant Alex Yelisanov is trying to stop Bombardier Al Sadok's bleeding. Sadok took a 20mm cannon shell through his left thigh. The bone is shattered. The femoral artery is partially severed. 3 tourniquets. Blood still pumps through Sadok's flight suit in rhythm with his heartbeat. Sadok stopped screaming 2 minutes ago. Men who stop screaming are men who are dying. In the tail section, tail gunner Hugh Eckenrode is either dead or dying. Brown does not know which. The intercom is destroyed. The last transmission was 14 minutes ago. Eckenrode screaming about a Fokker Wolf coming in at 6 o'clock low, then the sound of tearing metal, then static, then nothing. 2 of the B-17S4 engines are dead. Number 2 engine on the left wing took a direct flak hit over Bremen. The propeller is feathered, stopped. Oil streams behind the wing in a black mist that freezes instantly. Number 4, engine on the right, sounds like someone is throwing hammers into a washing machine. Metal grinding against metal. The cylinder head temperature gauge is pegged in the red. That engine will seize within 10 minutes, maybe 5. When it seizes, the bomber will roll inverted and spin. There will be no recovery. That leaves 2 functioning engines. They are screaming at maximum power, burning fuel Brown does not have, trying to keep 65,000 pounds of shattered aluminum in the air. The B-17 is designed to fly on 2 engines. Barely, in theory. At lightweight with no battle damage and an experienced crew. Ya Old Pub is none of those things. Brown could not drop the bombs over Bremen because the release mechanism was destroyed. The aircraft is still carrying 4,000 pounds of armed high explosive ordnance in the bomb bay. If the aircraft hits the ground hard, the bombs will detonate. There will be no survivors. There will be no bodies. There will be a crater. Brown can see through holes in the left wing, actual holes large enough to stick his head through. He can see daylight through the fuselage behind him. Half the instruments are dead. The compass spins uselessly. And this is Brown's first mission as aircraft commander, his second combat mission total. 3 weeks ago, he was in flight school in Florida. Today, he is trying not to die over Germany with 9 men depending on him. The bomber formation is gone. Ya Old Pub fell out of formation 11 minutes ago when number 2 engine exploded. Brown watched 47 B-17S fly away in tight formation, while his aircraft dropped behind like a wounded animal, separating from the herd. Standard procedure. The mission comes first. Individual aircraft are expendable. Brown is alone over Germany in a crippled bomber with wounded crew and no fighter escort. The P-47 escorts turned back 30 minutes ago at the limit of their fuel range. Brown is 250 miles from England. He is over the most heavily defended airspace in the world. There are 400 German fighter aircraft based within 100 miles. Every Luftwaffe pilot in northern Germany is listening to radio reports about crippled American bombers. Crippled bombers are easy kills. They are how German pilots earn their Knight's Cross decorations. The book says Brown should order the crew to bail out, become prisoners of war. Brown looks at Luke unconscious in the co-pilot seat. Luke cannot bail out. He cannot even sit up. If Brown orders the crew to abandon the aircraft, Luke will ride it into the ground. Luke will die alone. Brown makes a decision. They are staying with the aircraft, all of them. They are flying this crippled bomber to England, or they are dying together. He turns Ye Old Pub northwest, toward the North Sea, toward England. The two functioning engines roar at maximum power. The aircraft shakes like it is trying to tear itself apart. Metal groans. Rivets pop. Somewhere in the fuselage, structural members are failing. Brown's airspeed is 135 miles per hour. A normal B-17 cruises at 180. He is slow. He is a target. Any German fighter that finds him will kill him in seconds. The cloud deck below is at 15,000 feet. If Brown can reach those clouds, he can hide. But the clouds are 12,000 feet below. To reach them, Brown must descend. Descending means reducing power. Reducing power means losing airspeed. Losing airspeed means the bomber might stall. A stall at this weight means an unrecoverable spin. Everyone dies. Brown begins a gentle descent anyway, 100 feet per minute. The altimeter creeps downward, 26,900 feet, 26,800, 26,700. That is when he sees it. A single fighter climbing toward him from 4:00 low. The fighter is 2,000 feet below and maybe 3 miles behind. Mottled grey and green camouflage, black crosses on the wings. German, Luftwaffe, coming fast. Brown's heart rate spikes from 120 beats per minute to 180. Adrenaline dumps into his bloodstream. His vision narrows. His bladder releases slightly. He does not notice. He has no gunners. The top turret is unmanned. The ball turret is unmanned. The waist guns are unmanned. Eckenrode in the tail is dead, or unconscious or gone. There is no defensive fire. The B-17 is defenseless. Brown cannot outrun the fighter. The Messerschmitt Bf-109 has a top speed of 398 miles per hour. Brown is doing 135. He cannot outmaneuver it. He cannot hide. The clouds are still 11,000 feet below. He cannot defend himself. He is a dead man. The fighter closes the distance in seconds. Messerschmitt Bf-109. Gustav. 1,475 horsepower Daimler-Benz engine, two 13mm machine guns, and one 20mm cannon firing through the propeller hub. Flown by pilots who have been at war since 1939. Pilots who have killed dozens of men. Pilots who do not miss from 200 yards. The Bf-109 pulls alongside Ye Old Pub, not behind where it should be. Alongside, 50 feet off Brown's left wing, close enough that Brown can see the pilot clearly through the canopy. The German pilot is looking directly at him. Brown looks back. Two men, enemies, separated by 50 feet of freezing air at 26,000 feet above Nazi Germany. Brown is staring at the man who is about to kill him. The German pilot is young, maybe 27, maybe 30. Leather flying helmet and oxygen mask covering the lower half of his face. Brown can see his eyes. Blue eyes. Calm eyes. The eyes of someone who has done this before. The eyes of someone who has killed before. Brown waits for the cannon fire. He knows what happens next. The German will drop back 200 yards to 6:00. He will center the bomber in his gun sight. He will fire a 2-second burst. The 20mm rounds will punch through the tail, through the fuselage, through the bomb bay. The armed bombs will detonate. The B-17 will disintegrate. 10 men will die. 3 seconds from trigger pull to explosion. But the German pilot does not drop back. He stays on Brown's left wing, staring into the bomber. His eyes move from Brown to Luke, slumped unconscious, to the blood splattered across the instrument panel, to the holes in the fuselage where daylight streams through. He can see everything. He can see that this bomber is dead, a flying corpse. The German pilot's eyes narrow, not with hate, with something else. Then the German pilot does something that makes Brown's brain stop working. He raises his hand, not with a gun, with his palm open, fingers spread. He is waving. A German fighter pilot is waving at an American bomber crew over Nazi Germany. Brown's mind fractures. This is impossible. Germans do not wave at bombers. They kill them. That is what they do. That is what they have been doing for 4 years. This man should be murdering Brown right now. Instead, he is waving. Is this a trick? Is this how Germans play with dying men before finishing them? Is he herding Brown toward more fighters? Toward flak batteries? Brown's hand moves toward the bailout alarm, the red handle above his head. One pull and bells ring throughout the aircraft. Abandon ship. If this is a game, Brown will not give him the satisfaction. Brown's fingers are on the alarm handle when the German pilot moves. The Bf-109 slides forward, not back into attack position. Forward. The fighter positions itself slightly ahead and to the left of the B-17, the position a wingman takes, the position a friendly escort takes, the position that says, "I am protecting you." Brown does not understand. A German fighter flying escort for an American bomber over Nazi Germany. It is insane. It is impossible. The German pilot turns his head. He looks at Brown again. He nods once, then he points forward, northwest, toward the North Sea, toward England. Brown's radio crackles to life, the emergency frequency. The voice is accented, German accent, speaking English. "You have very bad damage. You are going to the sea, yes? Follow me. I take you to the water. Do not turn back. The flak will shoot you." Brown does not respond. He cannot respond. His throat has closed. Nothing makes sense. Nothing in his training has prepared him for this moment. A Luftwaffe fighter pilot is offering to escort him to safety. The German pilot banks 5 degrees left. The B-17 follows instinctively. Brown's hands move the yoke without his brain giving permission. He is following a German fighter. He is trusting a German fighter. He has lost his mind. Below them, German countryside, snow-covered fields, villages with smoke rising from chimneys. Normal life. Then Brown sees them. Anti-aircraft positions, flak batteries. The 88mm guns that have been murdering Allied bombers for 4 years. Brown can see the gun emplacements, the barrels pointing at the sky. Dozens of them, maybe 50 guns. Enough firepower to blow Yer Olde Pub into confetti in 5 seconds. The German pilot sees them too. He rocks his wings. The international signal for "follow me." Then he does something that makes Brown realize this is not a trick. The German pilot pulls his Bf-109 directly between the B-17 and the flak batteries. He is using his own aircraft as a shield. He is physically placing himself between the guns and the bomber. The flak batteries do not fire. Brown flies over them, defenseless, crippled, a perfect target. The guns do not fire because a German pilot will not allow it. They fly northwest for 23 minutes. The longest 23 minutes of Charlie Brown's life. The German fighter stays in position. Perfect escort formation. Brown watches him the entire time, waiting for the trick, waiting for the trap. The moment never comes. More flak batteries pass below. None of them fire. Brown sees German fighters in the distance. Focke-Wulf 190s circling at altitude. They see the crippled B-17. They see the German fighter escorting it. They do not attack. Brown's crew is silent. The ones who are conscious. They can see the German fighter through the windows. They do not speak. What is there to say? Language has no words for what is happening. The North Sea appears ahead. Grey water, white caps, the border between Nazi Germany and neutral airspace, the line between death and survival. Once Brown crosses that water, he is beyond the range of German fighters. The German pilot banks right, gently, back toward Germany. His fuel gauge must be critical. He cannot escort the B-17 across the sea. His mission is over. But before he leaves, the German pilot does one final thing. He pulls alongside Ye Olde pub again. Closer now, 30 feet. Close enough that Brown can see every detail. The leather helmet, the oxygen mask, the blue eyes that have been watching Brown for 23 minutes. The German pilot looks at Brown, directly at him, eye to eye. The German pilot raises his hand. Not a wave, a salute, a formal military salute. One pilot to another, one warrior to another, one human being to another human being who should be dead, but is not dead because of a choice the German pilot made. Then the German pilot points at Brown. Not at the bomber, at Brown personally. He mouths words Brown cannot hear through the canopy and across 30 feet of screaming wind. Brown reads his lips. Good luck. The Bf-109 banks hard right and dives toward Germany. Full power. Maximum dive speed. Within 5 seconds the fighter is 1,000 feet below. Within 10 seconds it is gone. Brown is alone again. But he is alive. His crew is alive. The 2 engines are still running. They are over the North Sea. They are going home. Brown does not understand what just happened. Every rule says he should be dead. Every tactical manual, every intelligence briefing, every story from every veteran. Crippled bombers over Germany do not survive. They die. But Brown did not die. Because a German fighter pilot looked into his bomber, saw the blood and the dying co-pilot and the holes in the fuselage and made a choice. The choice was mercy. Brown will crash land at Seething Airfield in England with the landing gear up because the hydraulics are destroyed. The aircraft will skid 900 feet across the runway in a shower of sparks and screaming metal. Luke will survive. Sadok will survive. Eckenrode will survive. He was unconscious in the tail section, not dead. All 10 men will walk away from the wreckage. Brown will file his after-action report. He will tell the intelligence officers what happened. They will not believe him. A German pilot escorting an American bomber? Impossible. The intelligence officers will write in their report that Lieutenant Brown encountered a German fighter that did not engage due to unknown reasons, possibly mechanical failure. Brown will not argue, but he will know. He will know what he saw. And Brown will spend the rest of his life trying to find the German pilot who saved him. He will search for 46 years, through veteran organizations, through military archives, through letters to German fighter groups, through decades of dead ends and false leads, and nights when he wonders if he really did imagine the whole thing. Because if he did not imagine it, if it really happened, then it means something Brown cannot accept. It means the enemy was more human than the war. It means the man trained to kill him chose not to. It means that somewhere in the machinery of total war and genocide and concentration camps and murdered civilians, there was still a German who looked at a dying American and said no. Brown does not know the German pilot's name. He does not know if the man survived the war. He does not know if he will ever find him. But he knows he has to try, because the German pilot gave him back his life, and Brown will spend the rest of that life looking for the man who gave it to him. The man who should have been his killer became his savior, and Charlie Brown will not rest until he knows why. Franz Stigler did not want to be a fighter pilot. He wanted to be a Lufthansa captain, flying passengers from Berlin to Paris. Nice uniform. Good pay. No one shooting at him. December 20th, 1943. The same day, Charlie Brown is bleeding over Bremen. Franz Stigler sits in the cockpit of his Bf-109 Gustav at Jever Airfield in northern Germany, watching mechanics refuel his fighter. He is 27 years old. He has 28 confirmed kills. He needs 2 more to earn the Knight's Cross with oak leaves, the medal every Luftwaffe pilot dreams about, the medal that makes you untouchable, the medal that gets you transferred to a training unit where people stop trying to murder you every single day. 2 more kills. That is all Stigler needs. 3 days ago, Stigler watched his wingman Oberleutnant Werner Schroer shoot down a crippled B-24. The bomber was missing half its tail. The crew was bailing out. Schroer shot the parachutes, all of them. 10 men tumbling through the sky with shredded silk streaming behind them. 10 men screaming all the way down. Schroer laughed about it in the mess hall that night, said it was like hunting ducks. The other pilots cheered. They raised their glasses. They toasted Schroer. 12 kills in 1 month. A true ace. A hero of the Reich. Stigler said nothing. He drank his schnapps and wondered when they stopped being pilots and became executioners. But Stigler needs 2 more kills. So he does not think about Schroer. He does not think about parachutes or screaming or mothers receiving telegrams. He thinks about numbers. 28 kills. 2 more for 30. 30 for the Knight's Cross. The Knight's Cross for survival. The radio in the crew room crackles. American bomber formation withdrawing from Bremen. Multiple crippled aircraft falling behind. All fighters scramble. This is what Stigler has been waiting for. Crippled bombers are easy kills. They cannot defend themselves. They cannot run. They are targets, free kills. Stigler runs to his aircraft. The mechanics are still fueling. He does not wait. He climbs into the cockpit. The crew chief yells that the tanks are not full. Stigler does not care. He has enough fuel for 1 intercept. That is all he needs. He starts the Daimler-Benz engine. The propeller turns. The engine catches. The sound is beautiful. 1,275 horsepower of German engineering. The sound of death. Stigler taxis to the runway without clearance. He pushes the throttle forward. The Bf-109 accelerates. 50 miles per hour. 70. 90. The tail comes up. The fighter lifts off at 110. Stigler retracts the landing gear and climbs at full power. 3,000 feet per minute. The engine screams. This is what the Bf-109 was designed for. Climbing, killing, winning. At 15,000 feet, Stigler scans the sky. He is looking for smoke trails, engine fires, aircraft losing altitude, the signs of a dying bomber. He sees it at 26,000 feet. A single B-17, trailing smoke from the left wing, flying slowly, wobbling, alone. No fighter escort, no formation. Just 1 bomber and 10 men who are about to die. Stigler smiles. This is it. Kill number 29. He climbs toward the bomber. Full power. The Bf-109 eats altitude. 20,000 feet. 23,000. 25,000. He positions himself below and behind the B-17. The classic attack position. 6 o'clock low. The bomber cannot see him from this angle. Stigler closes to 1,000 yards. 800, 600. He can see the bomber clearly now. It is destroyed. The left wing has holes in it. The number 2 engine is feathered. Dead. The aircraft is barely flying. This is not a fight. This is an execution. Stigler moves closer. 400 yards. He activates his gun sight. The reflector glass lights up with the illuminated reticle. He centers the bomber in the sight picture. His thumb rests on the cannon trigger, the MG 15 120mm cannon. 180 rounds per minute. High explosive incendiary ammunition. 2 seconds of fire. The bomber will explode. The crew will die. Stigler will have kill number 29. His thumb begins to squeeze the trigger, but something makes him hesitate. Curiosity, maybe. He wants to see the damage up close. He wants to see what he is about to kill. Stigler moves his Bf-109 alongside the bomber instead of staying behind it. He pulls up next to the B-17's left wing, 50 feet away. What he sees makes his hand freeze on the trigger. The bomber is not just damaged, it is destroyed. The entire nose section is shot to pieces. The plexiglass is shattered. There are holes in the fuselage large enough to crawl through. The left wing looks like someone attacked it with an axe. And through the cockpit window, Stigler can see inside. The co-pilot is slumped in his seat. The right side of his face is gone. Not injured. Gone. Bone visible. Blood everywhere. Still breathing somehow. Wet, gurgling breaths. The pilot is conscious. Young. Maybe 23. His hands are shaking on the controls. His eyes are wide with terror. Behind them, through the holes in the fuselage, Stigler can see other crew members. One is covered in blood. Another is trying to stop someone from bleeding out. The waist gun positions are empty. No gunners. The ball turret is unmanned. The top turret is abandoned. This bomber has no defences. No way to fight back. It is a flying coffin full of dying men. Stigler looks at the pilot. The American pilot looks back, waiting to die, expecting to die, knowing he is about to die. Stigler's thumb is still on the cannon trigger. He tries to squeeze. He tries to fire. His brain screams the command. Fire. His training screams, fire. His 28 previous kills scream, fire. The Knight's Cross screams, fire. His thumb will not move. He tries again. He presses harder. The trigger is halfway back. The cannon is armed. The reticle is centered on the bomber's fuselage. 2 more millimeters of pressure and the high explosive rounds will rip through aluminum and flesh and bone. Stigler's thumb shakes. He cannot do it. He is staring at the co-pilot's destroyed face, at the pilot's terrified eyes, at the blood splattered across the instrument panel. And he cannot pull the trigger. Something is broken inside him. Some part of him that used to be able to kill without thinking. That part is gone now, replaced by something else, something that looks at this shattered bomber and sees murder instead of combat. A voice echoes in Stigler's memory. 6 years old. His first day of fighter training. Oberleutnant Gustav Rudel, standing at the front of the classroom. An old veteran, a man who had seen war before it became mechanized slaughter. Rudel said one thing that stayed with Stigler through every mission. Through every kill, through every moment when he had to choose between duty and humanity. You are fighter pilots. You will kill many men. That is your job. But there are rules. Honourable men follow rules even in war, especially in war. If you shoot a man in a parachute, you are not a fighter pilot. You are a murderer. If you attack a defenceless enemy, you disgrace yourself and you disgrace the Luftwaffe. We are knights of the air. We are not executioners. Stigler looks at the American bomber again, at the dying co-pilot, at the terrified pilot, at the crew members bleeding in the fuselage. This is not a combat aircraft. This is a life raft with wings. Shooting it would not be a victory. It would be murder. It would be the same thing Schroer did 3 days ago when he shot the parachutes. It would make Stigler no different than the executioners he despises. Stigler releases the trigger. His hand moves away from the cannon firing button. He has made a decision. He is not going to kill these men. But the decision creates a new problem, a worse problem. If Stigler does not kill them, someone else will. There are German fighters all over this airspace. There are flak batteries below. This bomber will not survive the next 10 minutes unless someone protects it. Stigler checks his fuel gauge. 40 minutes remaining. The North Sea is 25 minutes away. If he escorts the bomber there, he will have 15 minutes of fuel left to fly home. His airfield is 18 minutes away. The math is simple. If Stigler saves this American, he will die. The engine will quit over the North Sea or over German territory. The propeller will stop. He will crash. The water temperature in the North Sea is 4 degrees Celsius. Stigler will survive maybe 3 minutes before hypothermia kills him. No one will find him. No one will rescue him. No one will know why he died. His mother will receive a telegram, killed in action. She will think he died a hero fighting the enemy. She will never know he died saving the enemy. Stigler looks at the American pilot again. The pilot is still waiting to die, still frozen on the controls, still staring at Stigler's fighter. Stigler makes his choice. He raises his hand, palm open, fingers spread. Not a weapon, not a threat, a human gesture. I see you. I will not kill you. The American pilot does not understand. Stigler can see the confusion in his eyes, the terror, the disbelief. Stigler moves his Bf-109 forward into escort position, slightly ahead and to the left of the bomber, the position that says, "I am protecting you." This is insane. This violates every order, every regulation. If Stigler's commander finds out, he will be court-martialed. If the SS finds out, he will be shot for treason. If other Luftwaffe pilots see him, they will report him. They will call him a coward. They will call him a traitor. Stigler does not care anymore. He has chosen. He cannot kill these men, so he will save them. He banks left. Away from the direct course to England, the bomber follows. Good. The pilot trusts him, or the pilot is desperate enough to trust anyone. Below them, Stigler sees the flak batteries, dozens of 88mm guns pointing at the sky. The crews have seen the bomber. They are preparing to fire. One salvo will destroy the B-17. The crew will die. Everything Stigler is trying to do will be meaningless. Stigler rocks his wings. The signal for follow me. Then he does something that seals his fate. He moves his Bf-109 directly between the bomber and the flak guns. He is using his own aircraft as a shield. He is blocking their line of sight. He is telling them not to fire. The gun crews below are confused. Why is a Luftwaffe fighter protecting an American bomber? Why is he not shooting it down? But they trust Stigler. They assume he is forcing the bomber to land. They assume he knows something they do not. The flak batteries do not fire. Stigler flies northwest, toward the North Sea, toward England, toward safety for the Americans, away from safety for himself. Every minute he stays with this bomber is a minute of fuel he burns, fuel he will need to get home, fuel he does not have. His fuel gauge drops. 35 minutes, 30 minutes, 28 minutes. More flak batteries pass below. Stigler flies between them and the bomber every time. The guns do not fire. German fighters circle in the distance. Focke-Wulf 190s. They see the bomber. They see Stigler. They do not attack. They think Stigler is capturing it. They do not realize Stigler is committing treason. Stigler's fuel gauge hits 20 minutes. His airfield is now 22 minutes away. The math has changed. Stigler cannot make it home. Even if he turns back right now, he will run out of fuel before he reaches the runway. He will crash. He will die. He keeps flying. He does not turn back. 23 minutes pass. The longest 23 minutes of Franz Stigler's life. His hand grips the control stick. His eyes scan for threats. His fuel gauge drops to 17 minutes. The North Sea appears ahead. Grey water, white caps, the border. Once the bomber crosses that water, it is safe. Stigler's fuel gauge reads 15 minutes. His airfield is behind him. Too far now. He has crossed the line. He has chosen the American crew's lives over his own. Stigler banks right. Back toward Germany. Back toward a crash landing somewhere. Back toward death. But before he leaves, he pulls alongside the bomber one final time. Close. 30 feet. He wants the American pilot to see his face. He wants the pilot to remember. Stigler looks at the American pilot, eye to eye, man to man. He raises his hand, a salute, the formal military salute, the kind you give to someone you respect. Then Stigler points at the pilot. He mouths words the pilot cannot hear through the canopy. Good luck. Live. Go home. Stigler banks hard right and dives toward Germany, full power, Maximum speed. He does not look back. His fuel gauge reads 12 minutes. His airfield is 15 minutes away. Stigler will not make it. The engine will quit. The propeller will stop. He will crash. Stigler flies southeast, looking for a field, looking for a road, looking for anywhere flat enough to put the fighter down without dying. At 8 minutes of fuel, Stigler sees it. A frozen lake, small, maybe 500 meters long, covered in ice and snow. It will have to do. Stigler descends. He extends the landing gear. He lines up on the lake. The engine coughs once. The fuel is almost gone. Stigler touches down on the ice at 120 miles per hour. The landing gear sinks into the snow. The fighter skids. The ice cracks, but holds. The Bf-109 slides 300 meters and stops. The engine quits. The propeller stops. Silence. Stigler sits in the cockpit. His hands are shaking. Not from fear, from the realization of what he just did. He chose a stranger's life over his duty. Over his country, over his Knight's Cross. He chose mercy in a war that has no mercy. Stigler climbs out of the cockpit. He is 40 kilometers from his airfield. He will have to walk. In the snow, in the cold. It will take hours. But he is alive. And somewhere over the North Sea, 10 Americans are alive because Franz Stigler could not pull a trigger. Stigler will walk back to base. He will tell his commander he had engine trouble. He will not file a combat report. He will not claim a kill. He will not mention the American bomber. He will fly 487 more combat missions. He will shoot down 2 more aircraft. He will earn his Knight's Cross in 1944. He will survive the war. He will emigrate to Canada in 1953. And for 46 years, Franz Stigler will never tell anyone about the American bomber he saved on December 20th, 1943. Because speaking of it means admitting treason, admitting he valued enemy lives over German victory, admitting he failed his duty. Franz Stigler will carry this secret alone for 46 years. Until one day in 1990, a letter arrives at his home in Vancouver. The letter is from an American, a former B-17 pilot, a man who has been searching for a German fighter pilot for 46 years, a man named Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown does not tell anyone about the German pilot, not at first, not when he crash lands at Seething Airfield with the landing gear up, not when the medics pull Spencer Luke from the co-pilot seat with half his face destroyed, not during debriefing. December 20th, 1943. 6 hours after the mission. Brown sits in the interrogation room. His hands still shake. He can still smell the blood. He can still see the German pilot's blue eyes. The intelligence officer is Major Robert Hamill. 38. Career military. Debriefed 300 missions. Seen every lie, every exaggeration. Hamill opens his notebook. Tell me about the fighter that intercepted you. Brown hesitates. It was a Bf-109, Messerschmitt. Standard camouflage. Came up on my left wing. Did it attack? No. Hamill looks up. No? It flew alongside us, Brown says. The pilot looked at the damage. He saw Luke. He saw the blood. He did not fire. Hamill writes, probably gun jam, low ammunition. Did the fighter disengage immediately? No, sir. He escorted us. To the North Sea. Flew formation. Blocked flak batteries. Protected us from other Germans. He saved us. Hamill stops writing. He studies Brown's eyes, checking for shock, delusion, oxygen deprivation. Lieutenant, you are saying a German fighter pilot escorted your bomber to safety? Yes, sir. For 23 minutes? Yes, sir. Did not attack? Did not call reinforcements? Did not force you to land? No, sir. He saluted, then left. Hamill closes the notebook. Lieutenant, if I report this, command will flag you for psych evaluation. You will be grounded. Your career ends. I know what I saw, sir. I believe you saw something, Hamill says. but stress creates false memories. Here is what I write. German fighter encountered, did not engage, reason unknown. Mechanical failure, probable. Accurate? Brown knows this is a lie. A cover story? He nods. Yes, sir. Hamill writes it. You brought your crew home. Luke survives, Sadok survives, Eckenrode survives. That matters. Brown flies 14 more missions, completes his tour, April 1944. Distinguished Flying Cross. Feels like a fraud. Because Brown did not save his crew, the German did. Discharged October 1945, West Virginia, college, chemistry degree, refinery manager, marriage, children, normal life. But December 20th haunts him, every year. The blue eyes, the salute, the mercy. Dinner with wife. Children asleep. Brown drinks enough to talk. Tells her about the pilot, the escort, the salute. She listens. Asks, have you tried to find him? How? No name, no unit. Maybe dead. Find him. You have the rest of your life. Brown starts searching 1986. 66 years old. Retired. Time. First letter. Air Force Historical Research Agency. Luftwaffe records December 20th, 1943. Response: incomplete. Cannot identify. 1975. Flashback. Letter to JG 26 veterans. Reply: never heard of such pilot. 1982. Ad in German Aviation Magazine. One call: you are crazy American. 1986. Berlin Archives. Records destroyed. End of war. Hundreds of letters. Dead ends. Brown almost quits. January 1990. Final letter. German-Canadian Fighter Pilots Association. Long shot. Some pilots emigrated to Canada. Describes everything. Date, location, BF-109, escort, salute. 6 weeks later. Envelope, Vancouver, Canada, precise handwriting. Dear Mr. Brown, Franz Stigler, I read your letter. I am the pilot. Brown sits. Heart pounds. 46 years. This is it. Stigler describes his side. Crippled B-17. Destroyed co-pilot. Decision not to fire. Escort. Every detail matches. I thought about that day many times. Never told anyone. Did not know if it was right or wrong. Glad you survived. Glad you found me. If you wish to meet, I would be honoured. Brown calls immediately. Stigler answers second ring. Hello? Mr. Stigler? Charlie Brown. Silence. 5 seconds. 10. Then, I have been waiting 46 years for this call. They talk 2 hours. Brown in Florida. Stigler in Vancouver. 2 enemies, 2 pilots. 2 men who shared 23 minutes over the North Sea. Stigler tells about crash landing on frozen lake. Walking back to base. Never filing report. Keeping secret 46 years. Afraid of court-martial. Brown tells about debriefing. Intelligence officer calling him crazy. Decades searching. They plan to meet. Stigler flies to Florida. June 1990. Miami Airport. Brown waits at gate. Does not know what Stigler looks like now. Both 70 years old. Stigler walks through. Brown recognizes eyes immediately. Same blue eyes. 46 years later. They face each other. 2 old men. 2 former enemies. Stigler extends hand. Charlie. Brown takes it. Franz. Brown pulls him into embrace. 2 old men hugging an airport. Crying. Not sadness. Relief. Gratitude. Brown whispers, you saved my life. Stigler whispers, you gave my life meaning. They spend week together, talking, filling gaps, discover commonalities. Both love flying. Both have families. Both carried secret no one understood. They become brothers. Not acquaintances. Brothers. Visit each other. Celebrate December 20th. Exchange letters. Phone calls. Charlie Brown dies. 87. Franz Stigler speaks at funeral. Tells story first time publicly. B-17. BF-109. 2 enemies became brothers. 4 months later. Franz Stigler dies. 87. Brown's son speaks. Tells father's story. Mercy in war. Buried 400 miles apart. Florida, Vancouver. but together, forever. Two men who should have killed each other chose humanity instead. 46 years silence, broken by two words: I found you. June 1990, Miami. Charlie Brown and Franz Stigler sit at a restaurant overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. Two old men, both 70 years old, both survivors of a war that ended 45 years ago, both carrying a secret that has defined their lives. They have talked for 3 days about the mission, about the war, about their families, about the decades between December 20th, 1943, and this moment in June 1990. But they have not talked about the one question that matters. Brown finally asks it. Why did you not kill me? Stigler stares at the ocean. Waves crash against the shore below. He has been waiting 47 years to answer this question. He has rehearsed the answer in his mind 1,000 times. But now that the moment has arrived, he does not know where to start. I was going to kill you, Stigler says. I want you to understand that. I positioned my fighter at 6 o'clock low, perfect attack angle. My thumb was on the cannon trigger. The MG 120mm, 180 rounds per minute, high explosive incendiary. I had the shot. The reticle was centered on your fuselage. 2 seconds of fire and your bomber would explode. Brown nods. He remembers watching the Bf-109 climbing toward him. He remembers knowing he was about to die. I tried to fire, Stigler says. I pressed the trigger halfway. The cannon was armed. My training said fire. My commander said fire. My 28 previous kills said fire. The Knight's Cross I needed said fire, but my thumb would not move. I looked at your co-pilot, his face destroyed, blood everywhere. I looked at you, young pilot, same age as me, terrified. I looked through the holes in your fuselage. I saw your crew bleeding, dying. And I realized something. What? Killing you would not be combat. It would be murder. Brown leans forward. But we were enemies. We were at war. Killing enemies is not murder. Stigler shakes his head. There are rules, even in war, especially in war. My instructor, Oberleutnant Gustav Rödel, taught me this in 1937, first day of fighter training. He gathered 20 young pilots in a classroom, boys who wanted to be heroes, boys who wanted medals and glory. Rödel stood at the front and said something I never forgot. Stigler closes his eyes, reciting from memory. You are fighter pilots. You will kill many men in your career. That is your job. That is what you are trained to do. But there are rules that separate warriors from murderers. If you shoot a man in a parachute, you are not a fighter pilot. You are a coward. If you strafe a man in a life raft, you are not a warrior. You are an executioner. If you attack a defenseless enemy who cannot fight back, you disgrace yourself and you disgrace Germany. We are knights of the air. We fight with honor. We kill when we must. But we do not murder. Rödel died in 1968, Stigler says. Peaceful death. Old age. He never stopped believing in that code, even after everything Germany became, even after the camps, even after the war crimes. Rödel believed honor still mattered. Brown thinks about this. Did other German pilots follow that code? Stigler laughs. Bitter laugh. No, most did not. 3 days before I met you, I watched my wingman Oberleutnant Werner Schroer shoot down a crippled B-24 Liberator. The bomber was missing half its tail. The crew was bailing out. 10 men, 10 parachutes floating down over Germany. Schroer shot them, all of them. He flew behind each parachute and fired a burst. The silk shredded. The men fell, tumbling, screaming. You could hear them screaming on the radio. Schroer laughed about it in the mess hall that night. He said it was like hunting ducks. The other pilots cheered. They toasted him. 12 kills in 1 month. A hero. Brown feels sick. Did you say anything? I drank my schnapps and stayed silent, Stigler says. What could I say? By 1943, that was normal. Goering ordered us to show no mercy. The Führer demanded total war. We strafed trains full of refugees. We shot lifeboats. We attacked field hospitals. The Luftwaffe stopped being knights. We became killers. But you did not. I tried not to. Stigler says, I tried to remember Rödel, but it was hard. Every day you see your friends die. Every day you hear about German cities burning. Dresden, Hamburg, Cologne. Hundreds of thousands of civilians dead. Women, children. Burned alive in firestorms. You start to hate. You start to want revenge. You stop seeing the enemy as human. You see them as bombers, as targets, as things to destroy. Brown understands. American pilots did the same. Tokyo firebombing. 100,000 Japanese civilians burned to death in one night. Dresden. 60,000 Germans killed in 13 hours. We dropped more bombs on Dresden than the entire London Blitz. Most were incendiary. The city burned for days. People melted into the pavement. Stigler nods. Total war. No mercy. No honour. Just killing. What about other countries? Brown asks. Japanese, Soviets. Japanese had Bushido, Stigler says, the way of the warrior. But they twisted it. Bushido became suicide. Kamikaze pilots. 1,700 young men flew their aircraft into American ships. Deliberate suicide attacks. One kamikaze hit the USS Bunker Hill in May 1945. Killed 393 sailors. The pilot was 19 years old. He could have bailed out. He chose to die. That is not honour. That is fanaticism. And Soviets? Taran, ramming attacks. Soviet pilots with no ammunition would ram their aircraft into German bombers. Deliberate collision. Both aircraft destroyed. Both pilots dead. They called it heroic sacrifice. I call it waste. Captain Nikolai Gastello rammed his burning bomber into a German tank column in 1941. Stalin made him a hero of the Soviet Union. Put his picture on propaganda posters. But Gastello died for nothing. His ramming attack destroyed 4 tanks. Germany had 10,000 tanks. What did his death accomplish? Brown thinks. Americans had kill ratios. Efficiency. 1 American pilot should equal 5 enemy kills. We kept score, calculated statistics, made war into mathematics. Exactly. Stigler says, everyone abandoned honour. Japanese became fanatics. Soviets became martyrs. Germans became executioners. Americans became accountants. Only the code mattered to me. Rödel's code. Brown leans back. So when you saw my bomber, you thought of Rödel. I thought of myself, Stigler says. I looked at you and saw me. Young pilot, first missions, terrified, trying to survive, trying to go home. If I killed you, what would that make me? Different from Schroer shooting parachutes? Different from the pilots who strafed refugees? Your bomber was defenceless. No gunners, no defences, just dying men. Killing you would be murder, and I could not become a murderer. But you risked everything, Brown says. You knew the fuel math. Escorting me meant you would crash. Stigler nods. I checked my fuel gauge. 40 minutes remaining. North Sea 25 minutes away. That left 15 minutes to fly home. My airfield was 18 minutes away. The math was simple. If I saved you, I would die. Engine would quit. I would crash into the sea or into Germany. Water temperature 4 degrees Celsius. 3 minutes until hypothermia death. No rescue. No one would know why I died. My mother would get a telegram. Killed in action. She would think I died fighting. She would never know I died saving the enemy. Why risk it? Stigler looks directly at Brown. Because if I did not save you, I would become what I hated. I would become Schroer. I would become the executioner. I would prove Rödel wrong. That honour does not matter. That war destroys everything good in men. I could not accept that. So I chose to save you, even if it killed me. Did you think about Germany? Brown asks. About duty? What if saving me meant I bombed Berlin the next week? killed German children. Stigler is silent for 10 seconds. 20. Then he speaks quietly. I thought about that. For 47 years. Did I betray Germany by saving you? Did I choose enemy lives over German lives? The answer is no. You did not fly again after that mission. You went home. You trained pilots. You did not drop bombs. You did not kill anyone. So I did not betray Germany. I just refused to murder a dying man. But you could not know that, Brown says. You could not know I would not fly again. No, I could not know. But I knew one thing. If I killed you, 10 men would die. If I saved you, 10 men would live. That was certain. Everything else was unknown. So I chose life over death, humanity over hate. They sit in silence. The ocean stretches to the horizon. Endless, grey, beautiful. Brown speaks. You know what haunts me? After I landed, the intelligence officer did not believe me. He said I was delusional, oxygen deprived. He wrote in his report that the German fighter had mechanical failure, that you did not attack because you could not attack. He made you disappear, like you never existed. Stigler nods. I never filed a report either. I told no one, not my commander, not my fellow pilots, not my family. For 46 years I stayed silent, because admitting what I did meant admitting treason, admitting I valued enemy lives over duty. I was afraid of judgment, afraid people would call me a coward. Brown reaches across the table, places his hand on Stigler's hand. You were not a coward. You were the bravest man in the war. Every other pilot followed orders, killed without question. You questioned. You chose mercy when mercy was forbidden. That takes more courage than fighting. Stigler's eyes water. He does not cry. But his voice breaks. I was the only one, Charlie. Thousands of German pilots, tens of thousands of missions, hundreds of thousands of chances to show mercy. I was the only one who did it. What does that say about humanity? What does that say about war? Brown does not have an answer. They sit together, 2 old men, 2 former enemies, 2 brothers. The waiter brings the check. Stigler pays. They walk to the parking lot. Brown drives Stigler to the airport. They shake hands. Embrace. I will see you next year, Brown says. December 20th, our anniversary. Stigler smiles. Our anniversary. Stigler flies home to Vancouver. Brown drives home to Florida. They are 700 miles apart, but they are closer than brothers, because they share something no one else in the world can understand. One chose mercy. The other spent 46 years searching for the man who showed it. And for 18 more years they will celebrate December 20th together, the day Franz Stigler looked at Charlie Brown and decided that one enemy's life mattered more than a medal. The day humanity survived in the middle of hell. December 20th, 2007. 64 years after the mission. Charlie Brown sits in his living room in Florida. He is 87 years old. His hands shake from age, not fear. On the table in front of him is a photograph. 2 men standing together, smiling, brothers, Charlie Brown and Franz Stigler, taken in 1995. 52 years after the mission over Germany. Brown picks up the phone, dials a number in Vancouver. The phone rings 3 times. Franz Stigler answers. Hello, Charlie. Hello, Franz. Happy anniversary. They laugh. Every year since 1990, they call each other on December 20th. 17 years of phone calls. 17 years of remembering the day they should have killed each other, but did not. How are you feeling? Brown asks. Old, Stigler says. Tired, but alive. You? Same, Brown says. Doctors say my heart is failing. They give me 6 months, maybe a year. Stigler is silent. Then, I am sorry, my friend. Do not be, Brown says. I have lived 87 years. I have seen my children grow, my grandchildren. I have had a good life. Because of you. Because we chose differently, Stigler says. Both of us. They talk for an hour. About their families, about their health, about the world. The war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan. Always war. Always killing. Do you think it matters, Brown asks, what we did? Does anyone care that 2 enemies showed mercy 64 years ago? Stigler thinks. I do not know. The world has not learned. We still kill. We still hate. Dresden happened, Hiroshima happened, Vietnam happened, Iraq happened, nothing changes. But we changed, Brown says. Yes, we changed, but only us. 2 men out of millions. Brown looks at the photograph again. 2 old men, 2 survivors, 2 proof that mercy is possible even in hell. I am writing a book, Brown says, about us, about December 20th, about what you did. I want people to know. Stigler hesitates. Why? It was one moment, one choice. It does not change history. It changed my history. Brown says, it changed my life. It changed 10 lives, my crew. We all survived because you chose mercy. That matters. Do you regret it? Brown asks suddenly. The question he has wanted to ask for 17 years. Do you regret saving us? Stigler does not answer immediately. Brown can hear him breathing on the other end, thinking. Finally, Stigler speaks. I regret nothing. But I wonder sometimes. I was the only one, Charlie. Thousands of German pilots, thousands of chances to show mercy. I was the only one who did it. What does that say about me? Was I weak? Was I a coward? Did I betray Germany? You were human, Brown says. The others forgot how to be human. You remembered. They talk for another 20 minutes. Then Stigler says he is tired, needs to rest. They say goodbye, same words they have said for 17 years. I will talk to you next year, Brown says. Next year, Stigler says. December 20th. But there will be no next year. March 24th, 2008. Charlie Brown dies, heart failure, peaceful death, surrounded by family. His last words are about Franz. Tell him thank you. Tell him I never forgot. Brown's son calls Stigler in Vancouver. Franz, I am sorry. Dad passed this morning. Stigler sits in his chair, 87 years old, same age as Charlie. He does not cry, he just sits, staring at nothing. I will be there, Stigler says, for the funeral. I will be there. Franz Stigler flies to Florida 3 days later. He is too old for this, too tired. But he goes anyway, because Charlie would have done the same. The funeral is March 28th. Small church, family, friends, veterans. Franz Stigler sits in the front row. He wears his old Luftwaffe dress uniform, the one from 1945. It barely fits anymore, but he wears it, because this is a military funeral. And Stigler was Charlie's wingman, his protector, his brother. The pastor asks if anyone wants to speak. Stigler stands, walks to the front, looks at the coffin. I met Charlie Brown on December 20th, 1943. I was a German fighter pilot. He was an American bomber pilot. We were enemies. I was ordered to kill him. I should have killed him. Every rule of war said kill him. But I looked at his bomber. I saw the damage. I saw his dying co-pilot. I saw his terrified face. And I could not do it. I could not kill a man who was already dying. Stigler's voice is strong, no hesitation, no doubt. So I escorted him to safety. I risked my life to save his life, and for 65 years I have asked myself why. Why did I do it? The answer is simple. Because he was human. Because I was human. Because in that moment, humanity mattered more than war. Stigler pauses. His voice breaks. Charlie spent 46 years searching for me. Most men would give up. But Charlie did not give up. He found me. And when we met in 1990, we did not talk about war. We talked about life. We talked about mercy. We became brothers. Not because we fought together, but because we chose humanity when humanity was forbidden. Stigler looks at the coffin. Tears run down his face. Charlie gave my life meaning. He proved that one choice can matter, that one moment of mercy can echo for 65 years. I will miss him, but I will see him again soon. And when I do, I will tell him what I should have told him in 1943. Thank you for being human. Stigler sits down. The church is silent. Half the people are crying. After the funeral, Stigler stands at the grave, alone. Everyone else has left. He places his hand on the headstone. I am coming, my friend, Stigler whispers. Wait for me. 4 months later, July 22, 2008, Franz Stigler dies. Heart attack, Vancouver. He is sitting in his chair, looking at a photograph, the same photograph Charlie had. 2 old men, 2 brothers. Stigler's last words are, I am coming, Charlie. They are buried 700 miles apart. Charlie Brown in Florida, Franz Stigler in Vancouver. The families discuss burying them together, moving one body to be with the other, but they decide against it, because distance does not matter. Charlie and Franz are together. They have been together since December 20th, 1943, when one man looked at another man and chose mercy over murder. The book A Higher Call is published in 2012, 4 years after both men die, written by Adam Makos. It tells the story of Charlie Brown and Franz Stigler. The story becomes a bestseller. Millions of people read it. Millions of people learn about December 20th, 1943. The question everyone asks is the same. Why did Stigler save Brown? Why risk everything for an enemy? The answer is in the statistics. The Luftwaffe flew 1.3 million combat sorties in World War II. 1.3 million chances to show mercy. Franz Stigler was one of the only pilots who did. The American 8th Air Force flew 1 million sorties over Europe. How many American pilots showed mercy to defenseless Germans? The records do not say. But the number is small. 1.3 million chances. One act of mercy. That is what makes Franz Stigler extraordinary. Not that he showed mercy, but that he was alone in showing it. Today, the story is taught in military academies. American Air Force Academy, German Luftwaffe Academy, British RAF College Cranwell. Pilots learn about Franz Stigler and Charlie Brown in ethics courses. The instructors ask one question: what would you do? The room is always silent, because the question has no easy answer. It never did. On December 20th, 1943, Franz Stigler had 2 seconds to decide: kill or save, duty or mercy, knight or executioner. He chose mercy. And because he chose mercy, 10 men lived. Families were not destroyed. Children were born. Grandchildren were born. Great-grandchildren were born. Somewhere in America today, Charlie Brown's great-grandchildren exist. They will never meet Franz Stigler. They will never know they owe their existence to a German pilot who could not pull a trigger. But they exist. And that is the only answer that matters. December 20th, 1943. 27,000 feet above Nazi Germany. 2 enemies met. One had a gun. One had none. The man with the gun chose mercy. 65 years later, they died 4 months apart. Brothers until the end. The world has forgotten most of World War II. The battles blur together. The names fade. Millions died. Millions killed. The war produced countless stories of death and destruction and hate. But this story remains. Not because it was common, because it was impossible. 1 German pilot, 1.3 million Luftwaffe sorties, 1 choice of mercy. Franz Stigler proved something the war tried to destroy: that humanity can survive even when the world demands murder. That one man can refuse to become a killer even when killing is his duty. That mercy is always a choice. And sometimes one choice is enough to prove that we are more than the wars we fight. One choice 65 years of echoes. That is the legacy of Franz Stigler and Charlie Brown. Two enemies who became brothers. Two men who chose humanity over hate. Two proof that even in hell, mercy survives.